And good morning. Welcome back to Coffee Connect. I'm Carlos Campos, my beautiful bride, Chantel. And on our Coffee Connect today, our topic is going to be working as a team in marriage. What does that look like? What are the benefits? And how do we do it? So, if you don't know us, we actually are the co-founders of Epic Your Life, creating extraordinary movement of leaders collaborating together to help others and lead by example to create extraordinary. You can find us over on the School platform, one of the fastest growing educational platforms on the planet. And super blessed to be on that platform, but school.com, Epic Your Life. But we actually love to help people in marriage and have extraordinary marriages is our niche. I bring the aspects of business and strategies and skills that come from the business mindset of creating a system, right? And to improve that system. And my beautiful bride, Chantel, has 20 plus years experience of helping people get unstuck, working with abused and neglected children for over 10 years in their trauma and triggers and helping them to create a new story and live a life of triumph. So when you combine us, it becomes pretty epic. It's a good combination. So today, though, we want to talk about team and how we do it. What do we do to create team? We work with a lot of clients, and these things come up. And some of our high-level clients are like, we want to get better at working as a team, because one thing that we do with couples is we actually encourage married couples. The next level of intimacy is to connect and work together, not just in your married life in your home, but also in business. And I'll tell you, that goes counter to most people out there. They'll tell you, don't work with your spouse. That's a problem. And I say the opposite. If you can work with your spouse, and if you can master that relationship and connection and master the things it requires to work as a team in business, that's pretty awesome. Then you can just about work with anybody, right?
Well, I think there's a lot of different dynamics that happen, when we think of team, right? What does it mean to be a team?
That's good. Yep.
I think
great question.
Understanding, if any of you are familiar with team sports, there's different positions that cover different ground, and it's crucial and necessary. But what is the goal of the team?
Yeah.
Right? If in team sports, the goal is to win. Well, it's not any different than that of a marriage or that of a business. The goal is to win, right? What does winning look like? Looks different for everybody, but to win is to thrive. To win is to, if we're raising kids, we want to raise healthy, thriving children. In a business, we want to create income and more income, right? Yeah. So we want to win in cash flow. We want to win in investments and so on and so forth. So, understanding that we're on the same team.
Yep, for sure.
And how do we operate then? What are some of the ways that
Well, I think I love sports. We are actually we both love sports a lot. We support it a lot. And I think one that's probably very familiar to most people, even those that we work with a lot, the previously Amish, is volleyball. Mm-hmm. So let's use that as an example, because I think when we use these examples, it helps us to understand. So first of all, I think is understanding the game you're playing and what is the game. So got to understand volleyball, right? But if we're recognizing the games, where do I need to be team player at? Well, there's one game, which is your home. And if you have kids, that game in your home is very complex because you're being a parent. And then there's another game of your business. So in this case, what we're going to talk about is we have two games going on here. It's real. And they're both very, very important. And for Chantel and I, we actually believe that the home game, the home team, if you would, is actually a little bit more priority than the business team. I know a lot of people argue, well, if I don't have the business and the cash flow, I can't support the home and the food on the table, right? We hear it all, and we've been through it too, so we understand. But the point is that, the family needs to know that they are the priority. Your home team should be your most priority. But if we got two games, okay, we got two volleyball games here going on, and we're playing in this one, what does that look like? And we're playing in this one, what does that look like? And then what are your positions? And I love what Chantel said, because the reality is you've got in volleyball, you've got somebody that's in the back row passing, and in a more established team of volleyball, you've got hitters in the front row, and most of the time you rotate out your hitters to the front row and your setters and libero in the back row. Technical terms. But the point is they're very skilled at passing and even setting for who? The hitters, who are typically in the front row. So like Chantel said, and this is to help even get an understanding of what that looks like to play as a team, we got to understand our roles, man. You got to know what you're good at. Now, there are occasional players that will play around all positions, but it's very rare. But the point is that then you also got other roles like the coach, right? You got a coach that's on the bench coaching the team and keeping the team motivated and inspired. But really, the coach, or in a business scenario, it's probably like the CEO, right? Chief Executive Officer, or the one that's in charge, the managing officer that's managing the team and instructing the team. That would be the coach, right? And so it's really fascinating because most of the time, if you're running a company well, the chief or the managing officer dude is not usually in the game. He's usually training up the people that will be in the game. And that's true in business. If you're working on the business and you're an owner and you're a chief executive officer, a lot of times you're not going to be the one, especially if you're an owner, you're not going to be the one in the game. So when we talk about the game, sometimes mom's in the game for the home front and dad's in the game for the business front. That's not always the case. But then are we willing to see them as important, understand our roles, but then understand too that, hey, if I'm going to take mom from this game and put her in this game of business, which we do talk about working as a team, what does that look like? And how does that get done?
Yeah, so often, there's so many entrepreneurs out there, right? We're in a world where there's a lot of people who own their own business. And so, oftentimes like mom will infuse somewhat. They'll handle the books, they'll handle, so what does that look like when the home front needs to take priority, right? So that's what Carlos is talking about. How do we play team in a healthy fashion so that our roles are both validated, appreciated, and valued?
So good. So true. And I think too that this gets known as work-life balance, right? Because your life is your home life, and then your work, your cash flow. So how do we balance the two? This is part of that as well, because I personally, as a person, have to balance it.
Mm-hmm.
She has to balance it. But then we got a double whammy if we're working together and trying to balance it, because there will be some bleeding over for sure, especially if you work from home, right? Because then you have to create that balance and work as a team. So how do we work as a team? Well, some of the things we've done is I recognize that the managing partner in the home is this woman. And then when it comes to the business things, I'm usually the managing partner, the CEO, if you would, and she's the CEO when it comes to the home stuff. Now, and that even bleeds over for us into the ranch, because we have ranch responsibilities, we have animals, we have other things going on in the ranch that it requires time, it requires responsibility, it requires management, it requires more team there. And so it's really fascinating. What we have found works really well is like, okay, I'm coming into your world. What do you need me to do? I'm just here. What do you need me to do? Well, this needs to be done. The work on the ranch, and the beautiful thing is we actually have a full-time team member that's full-time on our ranch and working on our home projects around here. It's how this got built. This beautiful studio. She managed it, designed it, and it got done through the hands of our full-time team member. So again, now come over to my world. If I'm running Epicure Life and managing that, she comes over and says, how can I best serve and be a part of what you're doing? What can I do to contribute to it, right? And recognizing that I've got a better feel for all the things that are going on. And there are seasons. There are seasons where she's actually taking a much more active role now in the business and in helping co-manage it a lot in a lot of ways. And there are seasons where I do the same on the ranch. Hey, I need to jump in on these projects and I'm going to kind of co-manage and take this particular project over. But it is definitely, I know that my role and responsibility is more towards the work business life, and that when I come into the world of the ranch and the home, I'm going to be checking in with her. Makes sense?
So what creates ownership and empowers you in your role on your team?
It's good. It's a great question.
What is it for you?
Well, what empowers me in my role is actually the support. Knowing that I'm supported, knowing that I can ask her for help and she's going to help. Knowing that matter of fact, the biggest blessing to me, and we've talked about this, is when she actually comes and offers help. Because men, we got this. And women do it too. But hey, we can handle this. I can do all the lifting. I can handle it myself. I do it myself. But what I recognize is that with that attitude of thinking I can do it myself, I'm always going to hit a ceiling. There's always going to come a place of where I can't go much higher. There's a capacity versus many hands make light work. And man, I get super blessed when she comes to me and says, hey, how can I help you? What can I do to lessen your load? What can I do to take some things off your plate? Because I see you're really busy and you got a lot going on. Is there something I can do for you? And man, sometimes I'm just like, would you mind making me lunch? I mean, that's true. It's like sometimes it's like, babe, that would be awesome. Or would you mind getting me some water? Because I'm just going. I can't even stop to get water. Sometimes I'll be like, would you go to the bathroom for me? It's a joke, but it's real. Like, but I do. I feel that really, because really what it comes down to is what validates me is knowing that she recognizes that I have a lot going on. And I'm not just sitting here lazy or in the office twiddling my thumbs playing video games or something. It's real, and I've always got tons to do. So when she does that as a team member, she's like, so what can I do? Or she just comes and takes off my plate. I know you're working on this. Was something she did recently, which had to do with our journals and workbooks and some of our products we're making for our company and for our people. She came and said, I'm taking care of this. I don't need your help. And I was like, at first I was like, wait a second, wait, no, I need to control that.
So along that line, for me personally, what empowers me and validates me and causes me to take ownership is when he releases it.
So
right?
good.
When he releases it, when I can,
And don't micromanage.
yeah. So oftentimes, there's this dynamic that happens on a team, and it's this expectation, and then there's this control. Like we feel like we need to control how the outcome is, or the excellence. Like, so it's the quality control person. But if that's in a marriage as well as the business, I promise you, people will take less ownership of what they do. Okay. Because then it's not them personally exercising their skills and yeah, feeling successful, right? So, we don't feel successful if we're constantly under somebody's thumb and not able to please them, right? So I think that's sometimes the dynamic that happens when, man and wife start to work together, and there's this like, there's this leadership, there's this natural leadership role, and then there's this natural, uh desire to help, but that desire completely goes away when they're micromanaged, when there's a lack of trust, right? And when the leadership is controlling the outcome, so to speak, then it takes the desire and the ownership out of it, because it's never going to be, you're never going to please them. It's his way or the highway, right? There's that kind of mentality. And so, we've had to work through those things as we've worked together and saying, look, do you trust me?
Yep.
Great. Let me do this. And it's,
and don't get me wrong, we're not here to make it all pretty and butterflies and unicorns. It could be ugly sometimes.
Yeah.
But the reality is, why does it get ugly? Well, because she's working on her confidence and I'm working on my control issues. I mean, there's no other way to put it that way. I mean, I am releasing control of things.
But that's good. So if there's not space for somebody to work on confidence, how do they gain confidence? They gain confidence by doing it.
Yep.
Right? Themselves.
That's right.
So it's like, this weird dynamic that happens, but it's the same as kids. Like, how do kids learn how to do dishes? They have to do them. Are they going to do them your way every time? No. But if you criticize them in the way that they're doing them, does that take the desire to do them out? Right? Or if you are encouraging them, you're releasing it. Maybe you go back in and you do it later to your standard, but they need to feel successful in order for them to keep doing it, to build confidence, right?
And here's this is so crazy cool. Like, we love being the example. I'm just saying. And it's real. We go through stuff too. Like, when we were first together, this is a huge point. My confidence, I'm a confident guy in certain areas. And guess what? When we got married, when we got together, I had raised 4 kids in a previous relationship. So then I'm this expert in raising kids because I'd raised 4 teenagers, right? For 14 years, I'd been a dad to them. And so I had all this confidence and I overpowered her. It's real. It happens. But guess what? The truth is, her level of understanding of kids is like 1,000 times more than mine. And why do I say that? 11 plus years of working potentially with thousands of children in the system in California. But because her confidence, I overpowered her because I'm more confident. How many times that happened? But she was 1,000 times more competent. Competence is different because of her 11 years experience and thousands of kids she had dealt with, from babies all the way up to teenagers aging out of the system, and even beyond then. They're still in our lives because she was so competent in helping them. But I couldn't see it, but all I could see is how confident I was because I raised 4 kids compared to her thousands of kids she had helped. Do you see what I mean? But what's so interesting is, in the beginning of our marriage, I definitely dominated in, hey, I want to make the decisions for the kids, and hey, I know best.
Well,
and recognizing.
Hold on. Because there's strategy there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, that's another aspect of team. Okay. So how many times do you see people get married who have had children before, and those children don't respect the step parent, don't listen to them, don't respect them, don't honor them, because it's not the parent, right?
Yeah.
So strategically, I knew that that was not what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a home where our children loved and honored and respected both of us equally, where he was received and was able to exercise the muscle of being their dad.
Yes.
Okay. And so that was very strategic. So there was definitely a lot of times where I
Well, and in my
released
previous
control.
marriage, let's just be real about this. My previous marriage, my voice wasn't heard.
Right.
I was like a child, and my voice didn't matter. So she was also giving me that place, which was super powerful.
So my
to
goal
let my
was
voice
to
be
empower
heard.
him as
Yep.
father.
Absolutely,
Okay.
which it hadn't happened before. And there lies why I had to overcompensate and appear to be this awesome know-it-all father, because I raised 4 kids, you know, for 13, 14 years or whatever it was that we were together in my previous marriage. Again, not realizing the whole time that she had, in the beginning, I'm talking about all this experience and competence, amazing, amazing, brilliant woman. But even that brilliance, are you willing to play a team and allow, like in my case, allow me to feel like I matter, my voice mattered, allow me to feel like, hey, I do have some wisdom when it comes to being a father, because that was another issue I had. That was one of my weaknesses, actually, and I was overcompensating. So her wisdom and brilliance to see that, as she's a team player, to see that I needed that. And her strategy, like she said, that did, it helped me to create me and who I was as a confidence.
Right.
100%.
So again, going back to team, the goal is to win, right? So what is the strategy that you can create as a team to win?
So good.
And how do you cover each other? How do you work together in that strategy and utilize each other's strengths and weaknesses?
That's right.
For the goal.
And the thing that's really powerful for us, and this is where I would challenge you as well, if you're married or want to be married, start working on these habits. Mm-hmm. And that habit is of, how is my wife or my spouse an expert? There's something, I promise you, that they're better at you than you are. And this has been an amazing revelation for me. I can speak for me, recognizing the freaking power and brilliance, probably one of the most incredible communicators on the planet. And so I have to then be willing to acknowledge that and learn from her. When you're willing to learn from your spouse, it will change everything. And be genuine. This is genuine. Like this woman, I cannot say enough good things about her, what she's taught me, and strategically taught me to where I didn't know I was being taught. Let's just put it that way. That's the brilliance of this woman. But then recognizing that's not me being weak by saying, oh my God, I can learn from this incredible woman. She's amazing. She's an expert. And vice versa. She can do the same and has done the same for me. And so, but what that does, what I'm recognizing was that does in a marriage, when you're willing to admit, this is what I learned from my spouse, it elevates them, but it also creates an appreciation. It's gratitude, it's honor, it's giving.
Well, it builds trust as well. And trust is a big factor on your team. Do you trust your teammate?
And it empowers her in that, just like she empowers me in what I am as a father and a business owner.
Right.
Did you know you can influence your spouse that much? It's real.
Listen, people succeed more when they're trusted. Think about that for a second.
So good. And bringing it back to the team, we've watched many volleyball teams, rugby teams. I coached, I reffed. Chantel played on some sports too as well. We've been around our kids' sports. The point in saying this, the one thing that's critical with a team, if they're united and working together, it doesn't matter if they lose a game. The scoreboard doesn't matter. They were successful to work together.
Yeah.
And eventually they will win no matter what.
Yeah.
The teams that have, ball hogs and show offs and, people that, oh, it's all about me.
Control freaks.
Yeah, it's real. They eventually will fall apart. We witnessed it many times.
Or the fit throwers.
That's right. They throw fits.
The people are very hard on themselves, so they spiral in their own mind, right?
So this is a powerful key. Figuring out what creates unity, knowing your roles, working as a team, and lifting each other up, understanding, oh my God, she's a better setter than I am. Oh my goodness, he's 6'3". He's probably a good hitter, right? There's an advantage there to be a hitter. Oh, what about passing the ball? Well, Hazel, she's good at passing the ball. Again, I'm making this stuff up, but the point is like connecting it to a volleyball team, knowing there's different roles. And when they do well at those roles, and we all do well at our roles and play as a team and become united, edifying each other and lifting each other up, you win.
Yep.
Scoreboard doesn't matter then. And that's the same here.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. We'll wrap it up. We'll see you Thursday for another Coffee Connect. For more stuff like this, join us on school.com/episode